WOVU LP, Cleveland.
This is Open Door with Vince Robinson. In-depth conversations with people who are making a difference in the lives of others here and around the world. Culture is at the heart of who you are. Know your culture, find yourself on Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Welcome to Open Door. I'm Vince Robinson, and my guest is Veronica Thornton. She is the Community Outreach Consultant for the Assembly for the Arts, and we are talking about the American Rescue Plan Act, and there are some dollars that are available for artists, and we've been ringing the bell about this for the past, couple of months, Veronica?
Easily, ringing it loudly.
Okay. Well, we are nearing the finish line. There are just a few days left as of this airing, which is September 26th. You will have 4 more days to get your applications in. So first, let's just talk about what the American Rescue Plan Act is and what that has to do with individual artists here in Cleveland.
Well, the American Rescue Plan Act was the bill signed by President Biden to help infrastructures of states and cities with some of their issues they were having. And Cuyahoga County granted Assembly for the Arts and Cuyahoga Arts and Culture $3.3 million for the artist community, therefore giving Assembly for the Arts the task of trying to distribute those dollars and reaching out to individual artists and creative businesses, while Cuyahoga Arts and Culture is tasked with distributing those funds to nonprofit organizations.
Okay, so the bottom line is there are some federal dollars that have been earmarked, and some of them will go to support individual artists and creative businesses through the Assembly for the Arts. What is the process for applying for these funds?
Well, the process, we tried to make it as simple as possible. The process involves going online to assemblycle.org and just looking through the guidelines and deciding whether you qualify as a individual artist or if you wanted to apply as a creative business. It's either or, but not both.
Okay. And what are some of the ways that you define artists in our community?
Oh, artists are everywhere. Go in the artist's pockets. Go to where artists go to. There's art being created all around the city. There's culture all through our city. So we're just going to as many places and events where we know artists to be. This past weekend, we were just at the Glossy event, as well as Grandparents' Day at Woodhill Park. So just anywhere where artists may reside, we're all over the place.
Okay. I didn't want to stop you because you were on a roll, but the question was actually, how do you define artist?
Oh, okay. I apologize. I didn't understand that. I did just kind of go on. An artist is anyone who makes money on their artistry, basically. So as a writer, if you write, then you can derive income from your writing abilities, whether it be you're writing articles or blogs or something that involves you using your talent for exchange for funds.
Yes. So we did have a few workshops. There was one at Glen Village. There was also one at Juliet de Burgos, and then one at Larchmere Arts, of course. And we answered a lot of these questions, but I just want the folks out there to know that there's a lot of information, including how you define an artist, on the Assembly for the Arts website. So you can actually go to assemblycle.org, and if you want to get fancy with it, you can /ARPA/, and that will take you directly to a link that will open this up to you. So one thing that I want to let you know, that if you are a professionally creative artist and you're 18 years of age or older and you live in Cuyahoga County and you lost income due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for these funds. Now, when you go to the website, there are definitions so that you can look at the definition and see exactly what art genres are involved in this and how you might conform to those, specifications to see whether or not you are eligible for these funds. You also mentioned creative businesses. So can you talk about what some of those creative businesses might be?
We have creative businesses such as those who do digital media. Digital media is one of those art forms that is sometimes overlooked, whether it be podcasts, videos, photography. We also do visual arts. We consider literary arts, as I said, the performing arts. Some that are listed under traditional. And for that, I would say, look through the guidelines, try to find where you fit in with that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now, and there are a lot of different businesses that fit this qualification. And I'm going to go out on a limb, Veronica, and I'm going to tell you that there will probably be a lot of folks out there who missed the boat on this. I mean, you could be a promoter or producer. You could be an independent craft maker or visual art vendor. You could be a music and instrument vendor. There are just so many different classifications for this. I think you owe it to yourself to apply for these funds. And I think it's also important to understand that there aren't strings attached to this. These are not loans, and they're not grants either. Could you talk about the distinction between grants and the funds that are being passed out?
Well, as you said, there's no strings attached. And usually with grants, there's certain and then there's reporting back as to what you did with the funds and everything. And this is not that. These are strictly relief funds because the artist community was hit very hard by COVID as things got shut down. People lost money, people lost gigs. Some people just lost their whole livelihood. As artists, you make your living as an artist, so you heavily depend on the arts industry. And in certain arts and crafts, there was no way to pivot as things were shut down. So this is a way to reach out to the community to let them know that, we know you got hurt. We know that there was a lot of artists who couldn't file for PPPs or participate in getting any CARES funding, or they weren't able to get the shuttered venues funding. So as artists that didn't qualify for any of those funds, these funds are for you. It doesn't hurt to go ahead and apply and try to get some type of relief.
Oh, okay. And I'm glad you mentioned the CARES relief funding that came out in 2020, because there are some folks in the audience who may have received some of those funds. If they receive CARES Act funds, are they eligible to receive these funds?
Yes, whether you receive CARES or PPP, you are still eligible to receive these funds. We just ask that again. You be a Cuyahoga County resident. You profited or made money from your artistry as well. A few other stipulations, such as being 18 and over and things like that.
Okay. So in terms of the individual artists, can we talk about how much is being offered? And since you're in the process and you received a number of applications, you have any idea of what those stipends might be?
For individual artists, the maximum we'll be able to give out is $2,500, and the minimum for individual artists is $1,000. So they're trying to give out as much money as possible, and at the very least, they all get $1,000.
Okay. And what about the creative businesses?
The creative businesses is a tiered system. So for that, I would definitely say check the guidelines to make sure that you fall into those guidelines, one of which make sure your business is in Cuyahoga County. Also, you have to have a full-time W-2 waged employee, less than 50 employees, but more than yourself. So it can't just be your business and you are the only employee. You must employ one other person besides contractors.
Okay. Now, I know that there are folks who are probably listening to this and they may have questions. I just want to make it clear that, and I know you've been answering a lot of questions and taking a lot of calls, and you got just a few more days. But what should folks do if they don't have complete clarity on what to do or how to do it?
Just reach out to Assembly, and we will try to help in any way possible. You can reach out to us through the website, assemblycle.org, or send us a email, and that is, you can send me directly at VEE@assemblycle.org, or my colleague Meg Matco. You can reach out to Meg at MEGCA.org as well, and we'll be happy to answer any questions available. The last week in September, we will be holding office hours from Tuesday the 27th through Thursday the 29th, from the hours of 10 to 2 at the office at Assembly for the Arts.
Okay, and the audio just kind of cracked out on us when you were giving Meg's information. Could you give that again?
Yes, that's Meg Matco, MEG at assemblycle.org.
Okay, and we have just a few more moments. Could you let folks know what the Assembly is?
Assembly for the Arts is a nonprofit organization that has dedicated its mission to helping increase the pie. So we want to try to create more equitable opportunities and fundings for artists in Cuyahoga County.
Okay. So, in essence, this institution exists to get money and funding for arts and culture in Cuyahoga County. So, it's very important that you be plugged in because there are a lot of opportunities. It's a phenomenal organization. It just so happens that I serve on the board for this organization, and it's my mission to make sure that everybody in this county knows that it exists and to know what it can do for you. So once again, Veronica Thornton, she is the community outreach consultant for the Assembly for the Arts. We'd like to invite you to reach out to the Assembly, visit the website, make a call, do whatever you have to do to make sure that you take advantage of an opportunity to apply for these funds, because that's exactly what they are for. Veronica Thornton, thank you for joining us on Open Door with Vince Robinson right here on 95.9 FM, WOVU.
All right, thanks, Vince, for having me. Appreciate you.
All right. Open Door will be right back after this.
WOVU 95.9 FM LP is a community radio station that is an enterprise of Burton Bell Car Development Incorporated, BBC, the nonprofit community development corporation serving the greater Cleveland community through the terrestrial frequency of 95.9 FM. WOVU provides a vehicle to connect people to valuable information and resources through on-air broadcasting and associated social media platforms. WOVU addresses the concerns of the urban community with solutions-driven information that allows us to showcase Northeast Ohio talent and positive urban music not typically found on mainstream radio. We operate with the motto that people support what they help create. And WOVU, our voices united, provides exciting and creative ways to engage, involve, and uplift the community.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. I have been joined by Dora Rae Vactor. She is the CEO and founder of the Cleveland Dance Movement, and also Darnell Weaver. He's the president of Cleveland Dance Movement. Welcome to Open Door with Vince Robinson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So I'll start with Ms. Vactor. You had the vision to found and create the Cleveland Dance Movement. Tell us how it got started and what your motivation was for starting this company.
I've always had a passion of dance. I used to dance with Miss Christine Buster many years ago at Tri-C as well as East Cleveland Community Theater, and a little bit of Caramel House back in the day. As I've gotten older, not dancing and not making it on Broadway, I wanted to have an organization here in Cleveland that we will be able to bring in other arts dancers to come in Cleveland to help teach and expound dance technique and, throughout the Cleveland area. So, and I had the pleasure to be with Diane McIntyre. She told us about this organization, IABD, which is the International Organization, International Association of Blacks in Dance. And myself and Mamie Johnson and another young lady went to the conference. And after going to the conference we're going from city to city. And the only way that it can come to your city, you had to be a board member. And I worked my way up, and I saw that vision for it to not only get Cleveland Dance Movement as bringing it to Cleveland, is also bringing that great conference to Cleveland. So that's how CDM was born, with Baba Chuck Davis's blessings.
Okay. And what kinds of things have you been involved with as you have been an organization?
Darnell, you want to take that lead?
Well, yes. I'd like to actually, expound upon what you were saying as far as in bringing IABD to Cleveland. I think part of it was our mission to provide access and exposure to Cleveland's community dancers, and just to Cleveland, period, in Northeast Ohio, specifically to be intergenerational. So our goal is to provide that access for the intent of using dance as a vehicle for social and emotional change in our communities.
Okay.
And so to that extent, we do things as master classes, workshops. We do line dances where we invite the grandchildren up to their grandmothers and grandfathers out to come and enjoy it and have fun. We bring in master teaching artists from all over the country, the world even, to come in and expose us to different cultures, diverse world cultures, so we can have an appreciation of more than just what's here, and understand what is here as well and where the lineage comes from. We do things like we just recently also surprised and had a 75th birthday for one of Cleveland's prominent dance members, and we honored them with a plaque and an interview as well. So we like to support the unsung and also spread knowledge and awareness through diverse dance cultures. So to that extent, we do a lot of things in the community.
Okay. Could you mention some of the folks that you honored with that program?
Dora Rae, you want to speak to Miss Mamie Johnson?
Yes, we just honored Miss Mamie Johnson. She was one of the Caramel dancers back in the early 70s. We honored her not only during our conference. We honored George Faison. We honored
Baba Chuck Davis.
Yes. We honored, you would say, Mama Fossey. We honored Mama Fossey, known to many in Cleveland, of Linda Thomas Jones. Mm-hmm. We also, too, honored the dance instructor and professor at Ohio State University, Mrs. Dixon, Professor Dixon. So we're still trying to honor some of our lists, and also too we did an honoring for this Diane McIntyre, who's a well-known international choreographer who is based in Cleveland.
A local legend, as we say.
Yeah.
Yes, Diane McIntyre is legendary. I can recall a program that she was involved in at Karamu that involved Ntozake Shange, and she did a choreo poem, and it was not for colored girls. It was something more recent.
It was Why I Had to Dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I was actually in the first one she did when she first did that.
Okay.
Why I Had to Dance by Ntozake Shange. And that was actually my introduction to Miss Diane McIntyre.
Yes. Well, it's just amazing that we have so many treasures here in Cleveland like Diane McIntyre and, a whole list of folks. I could just talk all day about the folks that we have here in Cleveland that are doing amazing things. And so many times we take them for granted because we see them every day. But then when they go to other cities, they get mobbed by folks who really appreciate and understand the significance of who they are and what they do. Yes. So
that is so true.
Yes. So for a few moments, can we talk about how relevant and how important dance is? I think that's another thing that we take for granted. Dancing is such an important part of our lives and our connection with the Creator. Can you talk a little bit about the significance and the relevance of dance?
Well, as we have learned, studies show and research proves that dance heals, okay? And when we move and we dance in certain ways, your brain releases endorphins throughout the body, yeah? So it makes you happy. Yeah. And not only is there health benefits, but also the cultural aspects. We have symbolic dances, that we do even if we're not realizing it for weddings, the line dance, that's a symbolic. That's why that's something we do. That's a cultural thing, We take that and we commune with that. But it also tells a story. It tells our legacies. No matter what land you originated from, it tells your legacy, which is why we like to tap into that and spread that awareness, because some things do not translate to words, but they can translate in movement. And, that's one of those universal languages. So it also helps us to navigate the world better, And before I go on, Dora Rae, is there some things you want to interject and add?
You summed it up. It's definitely healing. And that is the one thing that we are trying to do at Cleveland Dance Movement, to bring that back here, bring the healing as well as just bringing awareness about dance.
Yes. I'm glad that you mentioned the healing aspect of it, because, we've gone through what we've gone through in the past couple of years, and we've had certain folks being described as being essential. So we talked about, doctors and nurses and food folks who are, distributing food and so forth and so on. But then when we look at what artists do in our community and the fact that they are directly connected with healing modalities, we have to celebrate our artists too. So dance is just so important in that. And, just think about it. You go to an event. It could be a wedding reception. It could be, a birthday party or whatever, but you put on the music and it makes people happy. And as you were saying, those endorphins start flying and, it just changes the whole mood. So we really have to fully appreciate and recognize what dance does for us. And then when you were talking about the significance of dance as a cultural implement, I am aware that there are African dances that tell stories, and certain movements relate to certain ideas or certain concepts. There's much more to it than just the fact that you got folks out there and they're moving to rhythms.
Definitely. And then there's also a thing, that I feel in America or Western culture, we have kind of forgotten about, which is a rites of passage. We have this thing where we have the youth coming up and then we just throw them into society and say, now you're an adult. Okay. But they have not had any significant and safe spaces to where they can create those habits to become successful adults, which is why oftentimes in my experience, I see adults or children in adult bodies, because there's a saying that you cannot grow past, or you cannot, you cannot learn or grow past the trauma you haven't healed from as a child. So if there are things that you still are aware of, internally, then how can you help heal or fix those things? How can you address those things? And so when you were talking about culture and dances, that's what the rites of passage was for. Yeah, there are certain dances that you can't, especially in Africa, that you can't even do until you're a certain age because you have to earn those steps. And there are things that you go through. So I think that's also something, and that's part of the reason why it's important that CDM approach this work intergenerationally. Yeah, because there are a lot of organizations that say we want to work with the youth, or we want to work with the elders, or we want to work with just the professional dancers. But we believe in bridging those gaps, because there are a lot of points and a lot of circles, but we're the pathways through those. And so just like we're trying to connect pathways in communities, it also goes on an individual basis, and we're trying to redirect those pathways and synapses in your brain, which is what dance helps to do.
Yes. So if you just tuned in, we are speaking with Mr. Darnell Weaver. He's the president of Cleveland Dance Movement, and also Dora Rae Vactor. She is the CEO and founder of this great organization. You have quite a few things that you're involved in, and I don't want us to have this conversation and not be able to talk about those things. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to step away for a few moments, and we're going to come back and we'll talk about the things that you have going on right now and the things that you may need some assistance from the community in terms of being able to support the work that Cleveland Dance Movement is doing. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio. We'll be right back.
Are you or someone you know in need of help? Here's a resource you can turn to.
The Thea Bowman Center has been serving the community for over 50 years and provides services to help support Mount Pleasant and surrounding communities of all ages. Some of these programs include adult education like GED, computer classes, food pantry, senior outreach, youth after school, and summer programs, and much more. Are you a Cleveland resident in need of a GED preparation, a food pantry, youth or senior programs? Then call the Thea Bowman Center at 216-491-0669 or visit theabowmancenter.org. Call the Thea Bowman Center at 216-491-0669 or visit theabowmancenter.org to register today.
This message is brought to you by the Thea Bowman Center and WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, a Burton Bell Carr community radio station. Yeah, no offense, but what were we just listening to?
Oh, just something my previous writer wanted to hear. Want something else?
Yeah, actually, for sure. Can you switch that station to 95.9 FM, please?
Yeah, for sure. What kind of station is this?
What? You're not hip to 95.9 FM, BBC Community Radio? They have so many good shows. Whether it's a talk show, music show, it's so much good information on this station.
Yeah, I'll have to keep the dial right here then, since I drive so many different walks of life every day.
I literally listen every day and find out something new. Whether it's something for myself, my community, or just something special that's going on in the city.
Yeah, thanks. I'll keep it locked right here on WOVU 95.9 FM.
Good, because I'm sure you and all your other writers would love this station just as much as I do.
Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guests are Dora Rae Vactor, CEO and founder of Cleveland Dance Movement, and Mr. Darnell Weaver. He is the president of Cleveland Dance Movement. Welcome back to Open Door. When we were talking just a few moments ago, Darnell, you mentioned the importance of intergenerational connection, and I want to dive into that a little bit more just to talk about why it's important for older folks and younger folks to be able to come together and have dance as a unifying element in that interaction. Talk about the importance of the intergenerational connection.
Yes, certainly. Well, we know that as humans, we do more of what we see than what we're told. You know, you hear the age-old saying, you do as I say and not as I do. But as evidence proves, we're going to emulate. That's how we learn. We don't know how to speak first. The first thing we can do is look. Yeah, we don't know language, but we can do. That's how we learn how to walk. So that being said, the more life experience one has, the more tools they have to pass down to those who are coming after them. And it's important to create spaces where that can develop and thrive. And we say this because, time changes. So if you are in your 70s, there's a different culture that you are used to, that you grew up in, than someone who's in their 30s. And vice versa. If you're in your 30s now, there's a different culture that you grew up in than someone who's a teenager, And so how do we transfer those skills? How do you connect and get that person from a teenager to their 30s successfully, and the person from their 30s to their 70s successfully, and so forth and so on? The only way to do that is to bring all those people, those energies, under the same roof, in the same room, to connect, to share. It's not going to be smooth all the time, and nothing is, and that's, not a bad thing, but what will happen is a transference of knowledge, a transference of energy, and you get to continue the legacy. You continuously build, yeah? That's the same thing that happens with a tree or a brick mason, They don't just take a new brick and take all the old bricks from the bottom out. No, you're building on that foundation, and our elders are the foundation for the future generations. So that is one reason why we believe it's so important to bring all these demographics together.
Ms. Vactor, did you want to contribute to that idea?
Yes. And I felt that way when I started taking dance. I didn't take a dance class from someone my age. I took a dance class from an elder. And some of these elders, like I said before, was the Miss Mamie Johnsons and the Baba Chuck Davises and the Pearl Johnsons at Carable House. They were able to pass on that passion for the dance that I still have today. If it was not for my elders who was speaking that breath of healing and enjoyment of my body and learning how to dance. Yes, absolutely. So we at CDN want to definitely be able to pass it on, because we see the difference in the community right now of what some of this generation is missing out on.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We want to pass it on.
So we've spoken about the wisdom that comes from the elders, and you've spoken to it yourself about what you were able to learn from those who came before you. I'm just curious, what are you able to get from young folks who are involved in this connection?
Keeps me you.
I was about to say the same thing. Go ahead.
No, I'm curious. It keeps me youthful. I'm in that middle part of that age where is that I learn from the elders, and you have to also learn from the youth. It's that vibe that it just runs right through. It's like you're holding on to this rope, and you have to have at least 2 to 3 people or more to hold on that rope for that vibe to come through. So yes, they keep me youthful all the time. I say, show me how to do that. Give me that movement. Show me again. Because that's why I said I had to bring my youthful Mr. Weaver on. He's going on to.
I think to even go a little bit deeper and to expound further on your thought, Dora Rae, is that it keeps us current because we know, and I'm in education. So say, for instance, you're a teacher and you have to go through professional development and you're like, okay, why do I have to learn this? Because there's more research, there's more development that has occurred. And so there's a deeper understanding of certain things, of dance, of the body, of anything, you know? And so oftentimes, you know, the older you become, the more set in your ways you become. So you have amassed so much knowledge and you have lived this long. And granted, you have every right because you've lived for 60 years and you must be doing something right. You hear me? So I'm trying to get that, what you're doing. But sometimes as the times change, we have to change with them in order to stay current, in order to stay relevant, in order for our message and our mission to still be received. We can't use the language of the Bible in order to reach the people today because they're not used to that. It'll fall deaf on their ears. Even though the message, you know, may be something that you think they need, but are they going to hear it? Are they going to be able to receive it? So we may have to change our language, our approach, but our mission is still the same. Yeah, it's in how we package that mission now because we want to reach the people where they are and then let them go further.
You know, I
believe that's what the youth do.
Okay. As we're having this conversation, I'm just thinking about things that I've seen. One thing that stands out is I think it was a scene from a movie, the Nicholas Brothers, I believe it was. The movie may have been Stormy Weather. It may have been something else. But the choreography was just out of this world. They did it in one take, and they were doing some amazing things, you know. But as we have this conversation, I'm thinking about how much dance has changed, and I'll explain. Back in the day, and, you know, I'm a little long in the tooth, probably got a few years on you, Darnell. But I remember when I was back in high school, you know, when we had dances and we had parties, you know, it was a male and female thing. And the young fella had his eye on a young girl or whatever, and he wanted to, you know, connect with her somehow. And the way that you did that is through dance, you know, could have been fast dancing, slow dancing or whatever. A few years back, probably about 8 years ago, I came out of retirement as a DJ, and I DJ'd a Sweet 16 party. And what I saw at that party was completely different from what I experienced as a young person. People didn't dance with each other. They just kind of danced by themselves in a group, interacting with a whole bunch of people. And then now you got the whole line dance thing. So, you know, when you go to a party, the way they get folks up is they put on a line dance song and everybody basically does their own thing. I'm just curious from your perspective, Darnell, and to you, Ms. Vactor, how have you seen dance change socially over a period of years?
Wow. It has. It really has. And I do understand what you're saying. And I think for the line dancing coming out more and people dancing by themselves, because, you know, a lot of men didn't want to, sometimes, some of them were shy to dance with women. And there were more women out there dancing, and, you know, there was like taboo. Women are not going to dance with each other. And I think that's kind of like how line dancing came to be, too. It's like an individual dance. You didn't feel that pressure on having to have a partner to dance with. But I do agree with you. I look back on the dancing that my mom, which was like jitterbug and the swing, and I think that's why a lot of the ballroom is starting to come back too. But yeah, I think now these younger generations feel more freely just to get out there and just move and do what they do best, to move around. I mean, that's my opinion. But Darnell,
I agree. I think the evolution, what also was a catalyst for that was the technology. And you have YouTube and the TikTok, and before that you had MySpace and, you know, the social media platforms, because now you have these social media dances, you know. These aren't like professional dancers in a studio coming up with stuff. These are just regular people making up dances and moves, and they just catch on like wildfire, and now that's the new craze across the world, you know. So I think part of it has given individuals more access to the world, and so we have a lot more variety in individualized and stylized dancing. So yeah, I think that has helped spread that or be a catalyst for that, which was social media. I don't think that it's a negative thing. And then I also see, you know, because history is basically cyclical, you know, things repeat and patterns happen. And a lot of the dances that people think they're making up and creating are actually dances that were already created and done. And then you can even trace these dances across the seas, the transatlantic, you know, and like, oh, wait, that looked like the same step that they doing in the Zulu tribe, or that look like the same step they're doing over there when they about to go hunting, you know? So not realizing that history literally is in our DNA. Yeah. So it's going to manifest itself, and just be aware of it and appreciate it.
Yes. Well, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about things not being new. Twerking has been around for a long time. It's part of our African cultural heritage, you know, but it took Miley Cyrus to twerk on a music award show, and now all of a sudden everybody in the world want to twerk, you know. Speaking of that, I noticed that you have issued a call for choreographers. Can you tell us about your need for choreographers at Cleveland Dance Movement?
Well, I believe this was part of Dora Rae's idea. I think I was doing an audition for another company. They asked me to come in and help run auditions and do some things. And so I was doing an audition, and I just created a phrase. And Dora Rae really was like, you know, that's nice. That's a nice phrase. That's a nice piece. You know, what say we get some dancers together and you set that piece. And I said, well, you know what, Dora Rae, how about we get some choreographers together and we get some dancers, and then we set these pieces, because there are so many choreographers and dancers in Cleveland who do not feel like they have a space to belong. Okay. I was one of those, being a black male dancer, and if you're of my stature, I was like 215, 5'10", 5'11", you know, I was told I should play football. Okay. But so when I came home from college, you know, I'm like, okay, I want to dance. I want to get my training in dance. I've had this amount of training, and I want to do something. And I looked up so many dance studios, but there were none who were offering any styles of dance that I had been trained in or that resonated with my body, and or they were for the young kids, the kiddies, or it was just I didn't feel like I belonged there because it was just all white people. And so the culture and the language was the same, wasn't the same, I guess, or there was no overlap for me. So as Dora Rae explained earlier, it wasn't until I went to IABD to where it was like, oh my goodness, this is where there's black people who can move, and I can move. So it inspired me. It didn't spark the flame, but it definitely stoked that fire. Yeah. And so I came home with this like, yes, so we can do this. I didn't know it was possible. And so since then, like I said, fast forward back to that conversation with Dora Rae, it's like Cleveland needs a platform for choreographers who are already serious and on the level, but just need some support, because you have so many organizations, even still now in Cleveland and abroad, that have choreographers showcases and cohorts, but you have to pay to be a part of that. You have to sell a certain amount of tickets. You have to provide this or provide that. And it's like, really, is that support? Am I supporting you, or am I exploiting you? And I'm benefiting from you because I'm selling tickets and our company's going to get the money, you know? So that's why we said we need somewhere where we believe we are truly supporting these choreographers, and then choreographers of color. Yeah. Because you see predominantly when you think of dance and someone says, I do dance, they say, oh, you do ballet? And then they associate ballet with white people and white companies. And so our goal is to change that narrative. Yeah. Okay. And so we believe it important for all all dancers or inspired dancers to see representation.
Okay.
And that's our goal.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give you information on how you can support this effort, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about Cleveland dance movement when we return. This is Open Door with Vince Robinson on 95.9 FM WOVU. We'll be right back.
You already know what it is.
This is Artemis Carter with Youth Opportunities Unlimited.
What up, what up? Hi, this is Brian Webster, the MyCom Regional Coordinator for Burtonville Carter Development.
What up, what up? Hey, this is Camille Hurd of Fellow, for everyone's love of hair and beauty, the first and only social marketplace for all of your beauty needs.
What up, what up? This is Ben Golston and Fred Ward.
What up, what up?
Hi, this is Kimberly F. Brown.
What up, what up?
Hi, this is Wanda Harris from Warrensville Heights, Ohio.
What up, what up?
Hi, this is Ken Hawkins Jr. Keep it locked.
What up, what up?
Hi, I'm Lindsay Sims.
What up, what up?
Hey, this is Keisha Allen from Home Repair Resource Center.
Because you're checking out the hottest radio station, period.
Anything that you need, we got to hear at WOVU 95.9 FM. I am your music director, DJ Chris Towles. And thank you for listening to WOVU 95.9 FM.
Hi, this is Wanda Harris from Warrensville Heights, Ohio, and you're listening to the best radio station in Cleveland, WOVU 95.9 FM, Burton Bell Carr Community Radio.
WOVU LP, Cleveland. Welcome back to Open Door with Vince Robinson. My guests are Dora Rae Vactor, the CEO and founder of Cleveland Dance Movement, and Darnell Weaver, the president of Cleveland Dance Movement. And we were just talking about something that you've created, which is an invitation to the Cleveland community for choreographers to get support from Cleveland Dance Movement. Let's talk about how folks can apply and what that support looks like.
Well, our application has gone out, and we can now tell you that we have picked 4 choreographers that will be doing pieces. One is by the name of Rondell Simpson, Nehemiah Spencer, Kenya Guest, and Darnell Weaver. He's going to stop, and we're going to have the 4 choreographers. And we're partnering with this with Verb Ballet. They will be showing their showcase works in progress on November 18th. And at that time, at Access, we are giving these 4 choreographers access to choreographers in the right of like Diane McIntyre, Maggie Carlson, and we are also looking for another professional choreographer who would be giving them extensive work to tell them along the way what they're giving them their blessings or giving them ideas of what they can do and further some of their work. We're also too going. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to interject and back up a little bit because you can also support and help because we're having auditions on October 2nd, and that's also going to be at Verb Ballet Studio. And we need community, professional, pre-professional, college dancers all to come out and audition. You get a great experience working with some great choreographers. You get to perform. There's a lot of things that you can get and network, different studios. So that's where the community can definitely support. And then again, as Dora said, the works in progress showing will be on November 19th. So again, buy tickets for that. Come and support and show out. Yeah. And the actual full concert will be in March of 2023. The actual date and location is to be determined.
Okay. So it sounds like you've got a lot of things moving forward. Are there any other projects or programs that you're working on?
Yes, well, we also have our annual master classes and workshops where monthly or bi-monthly workshops and master classes. We just had one, I think it was a week ago, last weekend, to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month. And it was a salsa and Dunham class and workshop. You got 2 classes. And then in these workshops, what we do differently than most other workshops is we also provide some sustenance, nutrition for you afterwards. So you also get like a meal, after you're done eating, because we believe in the whole family thing. You got to break bread, right?
Yes. Okay. So you've got an organization here. I'm just looking at the folks that you have on board. You've got Mamie Johnson, and her name has come up quite a few times. It looks like she's been around for a while. And Yolanda Walker, she's been involved in organizational management for over 20 years. And so it looks like you've got all these pieces and parts in place. What is your hope for the future of this organization?
My hope as the president is that we can be a sustainable organization that continuously provides support and access for underserved communities throughout Northeast Ohio. And hopefully we can spread that mission and expound further than Northeast Ohio, and we can go nationally and then internationally. But we need to start in our own communities first. So that's my goal, the long and the short of it. How about you, Dora Rae?
Yeah, my goal is to definitely make a mark with dance, bringing dance back into the community, especially for our children that don't have access to dance, and to be able to have access to some of the master teachers that we do bring into the community. Like I said, Sherma was very good when I was a young girl, bringing in all the master teachers. And I'm hoping through the connections that we have through the International Association of Blacks in Dance, that we are able to bring some of those instructors here in Cleveland. Like a lot of people don't know about Miss Mamie Johnson. They don't know about Miss Diane McIntyre. They don't know about some of the techniques that they're doing, like Graham and Horton and Lamone. They don't know about those movements. They need to know about that. And with that, knowing with the elders who know those movements and know that history, to be able to pass it on to some of our kids here in the area. And Cleveland Dance Movement is going to definitely be that catalyst to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. How do you go about connecting with the younger folks that you would like to reach through your programs?
Sometimes we go into the schools, and then also too with our master classes, we try to make it whereas that we have that age group where we know that they're focused. We try to start out as young as 10 years old and older to come to our classes, and some of our teachers like Darnell and some of the other people around. Darnell also too has his own organization called Influx that would be good to speak upon, and he has a group of teachers that go and work with children in the schools.
Yeah, so I think that is, just to connect. We do have a network of teaching artists as well that are connected with Cleveland Dance Movement. And so through that network, we are able to, at least send the word out and connect with younger dancers and younger community members. Like Dora Rae said, from the collegiate level all the way down to as far as 5, but some classes require a bit more dexterity, and body awareness. So we start at 10 and up. But yeah, so I think it's our network and continuously being able to communicate and build community within communities.
Okay. And I know that it takes funding in order to make an organization like this work. Tell folks how they can support Cleveland Dance Movement. Yes.
We have a website, which is www.clevelanddancemovement.org. And then we also, too, have an email, which we always encourage people to send us. We get back. We check our emails every day, and that's Cleve, CLEVE, dance, DANCE, movement at gmail.com. We also, too, have a Cash App. We definitely accept Cash Apps, and we send out our thank yous to everyone who donates to us. Yes, this is a project that is new to us to do. Like I said, when we did the conference in 2015, we had the True Blessings of the City, the Playhouse Square. We partnered with the library as well as the art museum. So that was a very good blessing for us. So, yes, we definitely do take all donations to make sure that we can continue doing what we do in the community.
Okay, so it's...
And any donation can be made out to Cleveland Dance Movement. Also, I just want to go and make a correction. Our website is clevelanddancemovement.com, not .org.
Yeah, Darnell.
Thank you very much.
Darnell, I got to tell you, brother, since we've been doing this interview, you have been reading my mind. So I was going to mention it as clevelanddancemovement.com, clevelanddancemovement.com. Ms. Vactor, you have talked about, just being interested in having access to funding for nonprofits. Can you talk about, what it's like to navigate that landscape and what the challenge is in terms of being able to get philanthropic donations for your movement?
Yeah, it has been a challenge because of coming out of COVID, and I'm sure every organization, not only ours, is kind of meeting a little bit of that challenge. I know for me and coming to get Darnell on board to help, we've reached out, but sometimes I just find that, because we're small organizations, some big organizations who are giving money, they don't look at us like, oh, they need money, because they don't think that we're real valid. Because I had that issue in 2015 when we were bringing the conference in, and like I said, it was the blessings of certain organizations that gave, and that really saw what we were doing were valid. And then I think with COVID, it kind of like we're starting back at square one. So, yes, I am sending letters out, and I'm just really hoping that they look at our organization and take us seriously, that we really want to continue to be a vital part of Cleveland. And the work that we're doing is really, really valid and needed.
Well, one thing that I want to encourage you to do is to just stay connected to the agencies that are involved in distributing funds. And I speak as a board member of the Assembly for the Arts, and, being completely connected to what they're doing, and also someone who has interacted with the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture platform. It's really important to, go to the board meetings, go to the websites, stay connected with their work. They offer resources that can connect you to other funding opportunities. There's a lot that's out there, but you have to be aware of it. And one of the things that happens to us artists in this city and other places is that we operate in silos and we're not connected to each other. So when these opportunities come around, we're not sharing this information. And as a result, those opportunities, they fall in the laps of others and not us. So just a word to the wise, stay connected, visit that website, periodically, go to the board meetings, see what they're talking about, because a lot of times it's not necessarily what you know, it's who you know. And when you get in front of faces and you make connections with people and you develop relationships with them, then that's when the opportunities start to come your way.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate that. I take that definitely to the heart, and just I appreciate that.
Yes, and one more thing before we go, because we're running out of time. I just want folks to know that we're going through funds that have been earmarked for Cuyahoga County that are flowing through the Assembly for the Arts and Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. The nonprofits are already plugged into the funding. The funds for individual artists and creative businesses are probably going to be doled out in October. So if you haven't applied, you still have a few days to apply for that funding. The deadline is September 30th. So stay tuned for that. And then also know that the city of Cleveland has received some ARPA dollars that will be approved by city council. We don't know how much yet, but there's a range of somewhere hopefully between $5 and $10 million. So stay tuned for that. And hopefully Cleveland Dance Movement may be eligible for some of those funds. Darnell Weaver.
Absolutely.
And Dora Rae Vactor of Cleveland Dance Movement.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for joining us on Open Door. If you have questions or you want to connect with them, you can go to clevelanddancemovement.com and find out who, find out what, find out when. It's all there. Thanks for joining us on Open Door.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. It's been a pleasure speaking with you this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Likewise.
Thank you.
All right. And to the audience, know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your best day.